Hi, it's Jasmin. You know, that girl who did you know what way before the internet ever existed. Join me and my special guest every week as we talk about anything and everything because nothing is too taboo. So punch your ticket and get on board the Krazy Train with me, Jasmin St. All aboard! Welcome to a brand new episode of Krazy Train with moi, Jasmin St. So, you know how I like to mix up my guests now and again, and I have some deathmatch wrestlers, some mainstream wrestlers, and of course, just really cool people. But Akira is one I would call one of the more prominent deathmatch elite superstars out there. We met in Japan. We were drinking whiskey sours. We were, basically sharing these experiences at Tokyo Dome for like the very first time. So without further ado, the hardest working superstar in deathmatch wrestling, Akira. Akira, you're cracking me the hell up. I don't know why this is.
I'm a funny guy. What do you want? Like, I may bleed everywhere. I may horrify people. I may make Japanese girls cry. But at the core, I'm very funny.
Yeah, that is true. So a lot of my listeners know who you are from the deathmatch community, like the deathmatch wrestling community. And I've got to ask you what your ethnic background is. That was one thing that people want to know.
So I am Korean Japanese white. My mom is from Korea, so the Korean Japanese is from her side. Then my dad is a pale white dude from middle of Indiana.
Yeah, that's definitely it's kind of an interesting mix to be Eurasian and everything. Yeah.
Yeah. It's if you know anything about like the Korean Japanese background, there's a lot. There's a dirty little history behind that. Lots of war and war crimes and other things. But it's whatever. My mom was born in Korea. She came over here with her mom and my grandfather, and she met my dad during college. And then bing bang wahoo, here I come.
Well, I think you're fairly young, so I've got to
Yeah,
ask you.
I just turned 30. So I
How
just
old?
turned 30, and I'm 30, and it's funny because I look 21,
Yeah.
and there's a lot of like the boring white people in America. They look at me and they go, you don't look Asian. Then I go to other communities and like the Japanese go, no, we could tell. And I'm like, okay, as long as you guys could tell, that's all I care about. My girlfriend's mom looked at me. She goes, no, I see it. Your eyes and your hair. She's like, that's not white person hair.
No, I could tell by your features, like specifically the eyes. I'm like, well, maybe he could be like possibly like maybe East Indian or something, but it's something else going on there. But with the name like Akira, I settled
Yeah.
with probably Asian of some sort. Why
Mm-hmm.
did you choose wrestling, or did wrestling actually choose you?
Uh, Wrestling kind of just. I was always around wrestling, and by proxy, becoming a wrestler kind of fell into my lap due to just life itself. I grew up around WCW, WWF. My dad recorded all the stuff as well as ECW, and my uncle was more his brother, his older brother actually, was much more of the nerd. So he like had like VHSs from like the tape trading kind of stuff. So that's where I knew of like New Japan and things like that. And I grew up around it. Like I loved like Bret Hart, loved The Rock, loved Raven, and I just, as you grow up, you get into junior high, you get into high school, you kind of fall out of things that you were kind of infatuated with as you were a kid because you get more enveloped in the personal bullshit of life, whether it's your own teenage angst, and more teenage angst. That was what I was doing because I was the only minority kid, other than my siblings, in the entire area where I came from. So I got a lot of bullshit, a lot of bullshit. Every slur you could hear in the books, I heard it, and I had to learn how to grow a thick skin really fast. But I was more focused on that and more focused on music because I thought, I was going to be a musician, which I play guitar, and I play like jazz, but I also I play jazz, play blues, rock, metal. I don't play like schlack metal, but I could if I wanted to. I just don't. I much prefer like stuff from like the 70s and 80s. That's always been my kind of shtick. Uh, but then I went to college. I got a degree in corporate and business communications, public relations specifically. And as I got back into college, I became friends. As I was also a college swimmer. So when I wasn't swimming, I was hanging out with the nerds and the geeks and whatever the hell. And those nerds and geeks were actually into wrestling. They were all the media kids. So it happened to fall back into my lap. And during that time, as I got back into WWE, but I was also getting back into discovering like pro wrestling Noah from like 2007, 2008. Like the first wrestler, Japanese wrestler I saw getting back into the swing of things was actually Minoru Suzuki and Shinsuke Nakamura, and I literally just fell back into the swing of things. I already loved like guys like Kazushi Sakuraba from Pride. So once I just realized, oh wait, shit, Sakuraba was actually a pro wrestler first. Then I watched all of Sakuraba's pro wrestling matches. Then I discovered Katsuyori Shibata. Then it just started to spiral. I was getting to more and more and more stuff. And then I graduated college and I stopped being a college athlete. And I got into the as your co-host Andrew and I were discussing. I got into the grind of the 9 to 5, and I was back in the middle of Indiana. I wasn't doing anything that I liked doing. I was doing factory work. I was working at liquor stores. Just trying to make ends meet, trying to find something that was making me happy. And God knows the 9 to 5 grind was not doing that. Now, mind you, I had to keep doing that, but I went to a WWE house show in
Mhm.
Fort Wayne, Indiana, and that's where I saw, for better or for worse, I saw AJ Styles versus a man named Dean Ambrose at the time, who we know now as John Moxley, in a TLC house show match. I watched that match and I decided, okay, you know what? I want to be a pro wrestler. Now, mind you, the Japanese wrestlers are like I saw that kind of representation, and I saw guys I looked more like than I'm not someone who advocates desperately for representation. I need it. I'm like I don't need it, but I saw these guys, and I saw what pro wrestling could be, and I saw how it was so once again so different than the normal WWE presentation, and just how hard hitting and how realistic and how the fans adored it, and I just fell into that loop. But I watched them live, and I said, you know what? I miss being an athlete. I missed being an artist. I missed writing. I missed music and doing all that. And I said, you know what? This is what I'm going to do. It was something in my head. Call it God. Call it whatever you want. I just had to think it's God because I've had a numerous little like clicks in my life where it's like God shining light going, hey, stupid, do this. And I go, yes, sir. Uh, and I looked at my uncle who took me to that show, and I go, all right, I'm going to be a wrestler. And that's kind of how I spiraled into being a pro wrestler. I worked 2 jobs to pay for the base sum to get into the wrestling school I was in. And the kicker was there were schools around me originally. But when I decided to become a pro wrestler, that year, all those schools closed up. So instead of driving 20 to 30 minutes, I had to drive 3.5, 4 hours one way every weekend to go train at this school, and I would sleep at the foot of my trainer's dirty ass bed. Love my trainer to death, but his house was dirty, and that bed was not very clean. And so I decided to sleep at the foot of his bed just so I could have more ring time, so I could debut faster. But it was 3 hours one way, train for 2.5, 3 days, come back, work the 2 jobs, repeat for ad nauseum for about 8 months, and then I debuted. And when I debuted, it didn't last long before I kind of said, "Dude, I hate this. I quit. I quit slash got fired because I was focusing more on pro wrestling."
Mhm.
And I was living with my parents at the time, and my parents said, "Listen, it's either get a job and you stay here for free, or do pro wrestling but get the fuck out. I.e., we're kicking you out." And that night, I didn't tell them because they were like, "We'll see you tomorrow." I left in the middle of the night, and I went. Someone said, "Hey, you can come crash on my couch," but it took me about a day and a half, 2 days to take all my shit all the way down to Jeffersonville, Indiana, and kind of start over from scratch. I had maybe $200 in my name, a car that was uh, not great, like the alternate was going out, all these other things. But I had to make ends meet, and my parents were the next day said, "Where did you go?" And I said, "I left." So people wonder why it's just Akira, and they thought I stole it from a New Japan wrestler from the mid early 2000s, and I go, no, I didn't even know about him because I didn't have functioning internet until I went to college. I didn't know about him. I got it because when I was a kid, and I used to get shit on all the time. And hear every slur in the book when I was like 4 or 5, which is insane to hear. But I used to write these crappy little books that the main character's name was Akira, and I said, you know what, I'm gonna embrace my heritage, because I used to like be embarrassed by it, because I got called every name in the book. You eventually hear all that stuff. You kind of want to disassociate with the thing that you're getting insulted for. But as I became a pro wrestler, and I knew, I looked at all these other indie wrestlers from the Indiana. I was like, they're all boring white dudes. And I thought, I'm gonna use what I have naturally, and I'm going to do this. So I've basically just been Akira since then. My girlfriend doesn't even call me by my name. Her family doesn't even call me by my name. And everyone else in wrestling, and Jasmin, you included, Pondo, Necro, all of them, just call me Akira, and that's the way it's been.
Yeah.
Even the Japanese, they ask me, they go, "Where did the name come from?" And I tell them, and they go, "Oh," and then it's just, "Okay, Akira-san," and no questions asked. But that's literally how it deviated into pro wrestling coming back into my life, and by proxy consuming my life, because now it's literally all that I do, and it's all that I think about.
Yeah, but it explains why you've come so far. And I'd like to see your writings one day. I feel as though there needs to be like an Akira compilation, like from rags to whatever you want to call it now. But the story isn't over like quite yet. Where did he go to college?
I went to college at Olivet Nazarene University. I am not a Nazarene. I am, if anything, a basic ass Christian with very scientific views. So I'm very much a realist.
Uh-huh.
Despite what people might think about religion, I don't really care. Keep it to yourself. I just do what I do. But yeah, that I didn't obey the rules. So like the Nazarenes are anti-drug,
Yeah.
anti-alcohol, and I was like, no, especially because sophomore year I quit being an athlete. I quit being a college swimmer because I had injury. I just had a shoulder injury. I said, dude, I'm not having fun with this. This sucks. And so once I stopped doing that, I was like, oh, I'm not getting drug tested anymore. I'm gonna start drinking because I'm 21. Why can't I drink? And yeah, that's basically how it happened. It was a nice school. Like I enjoyed my time there, and literally I'm here now because of my experiences there. But very much, I listen. Nazarenes are a whole kind of like Puritan crazy that I can't deal
Uh-huh.
with.
No, I trust me, I know they're special. I'm doing a show in Salt Lake City, Utah, so I believe it's Mormons there.
Oh,
So
good
I
luck with that one. Good luck with that one.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, well, that's okay. They sent a deposit, so I'm going. I'm not gonna like sit at home.
Mormons
'Cause
are nice. I just
yeah.
once again, it's a level of religious, like I wouldn't say zealotry. It's like holistic dedication upon themselves, and I'm like, I don't agree with it, and I don't really care for it. We still have the kind of the same belief structure. I mean, we did. My beliefs didn't get a whole thing. Didn't get a whole opera, or not opera,
Hmm.
a whole theater thing. I didn't get a thing called the Book of Mormon written about me that people watch to this day on Broadway. So I think, like, if once you're that level of crazy, not even. I won't say crazy. Once you're that level of religiously devoted,
Hmm.
like it's borderline Scientology at that point. Like it's kind of funny.
Well, it's interesting because I think like I took improv for like 3 years at Second City, and then I went through all the programs. I felt as though you're almost conditioned like a cult. And when I went to Upright Citizens Brigade in LA, it was down the street from the Scientology church, right? And then I used to go there on Sundays with Anton LaVey's godson to have brunch, and they'd give us really dirty looks because they knew who he was, right? And
Yeah.
we just sit there and observe these people, but not just. I mean, I think improv is like a cult. Then I found out the godfather of improv, Del Close, was in contact with a cult in the 50s or 60s. And I think
Huh.
wrestling is sort of like a cult, like you have like-minded, which brings me to the next question. Like you have exotic good looks. Why the fuck do you want to go, gigging and shit like that and have these white trash wrestlers beat you over the head with a fucking light tube? Did I say the
Well,
term white trash wrestlers again? Oh well, whatever.
and well, listen. Lately, it's just been Japanese pro wrestlers doing that
Great,
to
that's
me.
fine. We're down with that. We're good with that.
um, I So I'm kind of tapped out of the American deathmatch scene. I'm not shitting on it,
Mm-hmm.
but like I'm working with limited deathmatch promotions that I believe in, um, and I just I fell into it. Like maybe it could just be a mixture of childhood. Getting my whole body beaten with a belt because I got good old fashioned Midwestern punishment as a kid.
Hey, so are you looking to spice things up in the bedroom? If you want to have a threesome with you, me, and Adam and Eve, go ahead on adamandeve.com. And if you put in the code Krazy Train, that's crazy with a K, you can get up to 50% off of most items and 10 free goodies. That's right. Go to adamandeve.com and put in the code Krazy Train, crazy with a K, and you can get up to 50% off of certain items and most of all, those 10 free gifts. You can give it to your wife, your girlfriend, whoever.
My pro wrestling life led me down to Mexico, where I had my first death match, and I used to be terrified of death matches. I don't know how it happened. Like I watched like Necro versus somebody, and I thought, dude, that looks so cool. But I was like, I can't do that. I can't get punched by Necro Butcher like that. Trust me, little did I know. There's an irony to that. It was all the bleeding, and I was like, I could never do that because I don't know. As human beings, we don't test ourselves, like we don't try to test ourselves like that until you actually have it happen to you. Like I've been in my fair share of fights when I was a kid, won all mine, even against my dad, gave him a black eye. Love my dad, but like as I got older, it's always that the parental child dispute, if you will. And one time it came to blows, and I got some cuts in my face, and he went to work with two black eyes. So I won.
Yeah.
But I never really thought of myself as like, dude, I'd be into like hurting people slash getting hurt. But I did that death match in Mexico, and mind you, at that time I was wearing like trunks, so I was not even covered. Like you see, I wear shorts now, knee pads, the whole 9 yards. I just had a little bit of tape, I had trunks, knee pads, kick pads. That was it. And I did it, and I don't know what it was, but it was. I wouldn't say a drug, but it just clicked for me, and I was like, "Fuck, I love this." Like some people get I guess a body high from it,
Mm-hmm.
but I feel alive, and it's not even like I need to do this high. It's just the art form and just the actions and everything else in between, the planning of the matches. I live for it. Even at MLW, like I try to push the boundaries as much as possible. I have been told no to so many things, or been told we can't do it in this building, like knife boards, can boards. I wanted to do gussets. Uh, Everyone's just like, "You're crazy. Like, why do you love doing this?" I'm like, "Dude, I don't know. You know what? I'm actually gonna blame my Korean Japanese heritage because the Japanese also love doing this shit.
Yeah.
So whenever I'm over there, I feel just so right at home because it's very much a let's just do it. Let's have fun, fuck it. Um, but yeah, that's why. And also back then I had really long hair too. Like I had long, luscious locks, and
Really?
yeah, like it was. Well, I mean, it was like a
Wait, did you have a
top
mullet?
mohawk, huh?
Did you have a mullet? Because you're
It
from
wasn't a
Indiana?
mullet. No, it was like
Okay.
so think like what Shinsuke Nakamura has.
Oh.
I modeled my hair off that, but it was all red. So now I'm growing the top and back out again, kind of like that, but like I'm never going that long again. Like it was about to my ass at some points. Also going with the whole deathmatch thing. That's coincidentally how I lost that hair because barbed wire ripped it all out. But I'm doing less death matches recently just because my work has branched out with Major League Wrestling, so it's been
Hmm.
much more traditional style wrestling. Um, but I'm happy that deathmatch is still integrated into it, and I'm still a part of it. I'm not someone who's, these people that do it for a month to a year to get popular, then fuck off. I love doing this. Like, I love the entire spectrum of pro wrestling, and I feel like I've put a lot of work into the deathmatch genre, and it's not just in my best interest, but it's also in the scene's best interest
Hmm.
to diversify on TV and diversify on the independent scene.
Oh
Go
yeah.
against guys like Minoru Suzuki, because then it proves that guys like Lou Nixon and all these other dudes can do the exact same shit. I think the entire point of being a deathmatch wrestler is to show that we're just as capable of working a regular style match and doing it better, because when you look at us, our entire body's already covered in scars. We already have a litany of things that we can say. Like, I was able to go against Minoru Suzuki for 18 minutes, and people said I actually brought him a fight. And if you've watched a lot of Minoru Suzuki's fights in
Mm.
America, not a lot of people bring it to him, but also not a lot of people, like, uh, personality wise, bring it to him. It's not just the moves or everything else in between. You've got to have a spitfire, like, behind what you do. And a lot of people just kind of shell up and they just kind of go through the motions, or they let Minoru or they let Suzuki-san beat the shit out of them. And me, I was like, I know he's gonna beat me up. It's just like if I get in there with Necro, Necro's gonna punch me in the face, but I'm gonna punch you back.
Necro.
And there's a clip that's going on right now where I hit Suzuki with a kick, and he just kind of like looks at me, and he goes again. And I kick him, he checks my kick, and he goes again because he's doing his thing. He's murder grandpa. He's a progenitor of mixed martial arts. Like, mixed martial arts does not really exist if he's not involved. But then he says again, and you just see me throw the fastest right hand that, like, Necro Butcher would be proud of, and you see Suzuki go, "You motherfucker!" And I go, "Yeah, you motherfucker! I will." I'm like, "I don't care if I idolize you. I'm gonna punch you." And I also like another thing in his matches is he goes around and he calls people young boy, right?
Yeah, he
And
does her kid.
a lot of people don't have a response to it. He called me fucking young boy, and the crowd chanted it. I'm like, "Fuck you, you old fucking man!" And everyone looked at me like I like shot somebody. They're like, "What did you do?" And I'm like, "I'm not gonna just let him eat me alive." I admire the man. I got back into pro wrestling because of this man, so I am not gonna back down to this man. um, but yeah, like you said, this entire thing is very conversational based. But yeah, that's how I got, like, why I love deathmatch wrestling, why I continue to do it, but also why I've been diversifying lately. Because I also think the talent pool is a bit different nowadays than when
Hmm.
I really was first breaking in. Like, I don't know if you were tapped into the scene in like 2019, 2020,
Where was
but
I
um,
then?
but
I
there was
was still
a
in Europe. No, I wasn't tapped in then. No, no, no.
okay, well,
Yeah.
but I mean, there was a core group of people that we labeled as the deathmatch elite, and I was very lucky to, when I broke in 2020, like, making waves actually for the first time. I got to work with the quintessential deathmatch elite. So it'd be guys like Alex Colon. I worked with Eric Ryan, John Wayne Murdoch, Reed Bentley, Matt Tremont, all these guys who are the pinnacle of what we were doing. And I really got to cut my teeth against the best of the best. And I had some of the best willing to put me over and help make me a namesake. Tremont did that. Cologne did that. Not many people beat Alex Cologne. Just like when I went to Japan, you were supposed to be on the tour, but you had some things come up
Yep.
where Ryuji Ito, who was the ace of Deathmatch Big Japan for the longest
Hmm.
time, where I beat him, and that doesn't like, maybe three people ever have, especially Gaijin, have beaten him. I've been very lucky and fortunate, but the scene, I believe, has kind of changed. A lot of people that were supposed to be the next big thing in deathmatch with me and Atticus Koger and a couple others kind of fell off.
Hmm.
Then other promotions popped up, and the deathmatch elite kind of parted ways. It was a parting of the fellowship, if you will. If you're have any interest in J.R. Tolkien's works,
Yeah.
and I don't know, like, the deathmatch elite thing, it very much feels spread out now. It used to be like a very tight knit group. We were all part of the same kind of shows, and we were all going out there killing it and killing each other for the betterment of the scene. But now it's, all those guys are out doing different things, different promotions, and so I barely see some guys now. Like, I barely see Schlack anymore. I barely see Eric Ryan. Um, and it sucks because I love seeing those guys and I love working with those guys. But I look at the scene now, and it's a lot of younger kids who I, I don't want to sound like a jaded asshole, but it feels like kids that want to play deathmatch wrestler without actually being the wrestler. And for better for worse, I'm sorry if you get offended by it. If you get offended by it, then maybe you're being called out a little bit, and that's not anything that I'm saying. That's something that's on your conscience. Um, we always wanted to aspire to reach the higher levels of being a pro wrestler. Like we always want desired to not just be one of the best deathmatch wrestlers in the world, but we desired to go to Japan. We desired to go to Ring of Honor and do these things and be seen by a bigger crowd. Some people are happy. I don't say complacent. Some people are very complacent in where they're at. But
Mm-hmm.
some people know, no, this is where I want to be, and they're happy to stay in that lane. That's cool. But I've never been someone who likes to be contained by something too. I don't like to be pigeonholed. I don't like to be stereotyped because I've lived my whole life being stereotyped. No one likes that shit, especially if you're someone who wants to have as much artistic freedom as you can have. So when I first started pro wrestling, people didn't believe I was a hard hitting grappling motherfucker. They didn't. It's crazy to me, but they didn't. And I had I was working with an actual catch wrestling trainer who has worked with guys like Barnett before,
Wait, which
and
one?
it's a guy named Jay Grooms. He trains out of Kentucky. He's actually part of a. He's friends with the reporter Sean Ross Sapp. Sean Ross Sapp, he's a prominent wrestling journalist. He also trained with Jay Grooms too. So like people can shit talk SRS all they want, but that dude has an actual shoot background. Like a lot of people that shit talk him, I'm like he could probably fuck up your favorite wrestler.
Yeah.
Like I hate to break it to you, um, but like I had like an actual grappling background, and I actually was training constantly before shows. I'd get in there, I'd roll with people, and there were promoters, other wrestlers would just shit talk me like, "Oh, we don't believe that you're XO." So then I got into the deathmatch scene, and then they're like, "Oh, no one's gonna care about you actually doing death matches. They're just gonna want to see you get hurt." And again, I'm like, "Fuck you! Who the fuck are you to say anything about me?" These are the people that were telling me to be like Akira Alexander, Akira James, and I'm like, "You all don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Don't give me career advice." And they hated the fact that I told them to fuck off because I believed in myself. And then eventually I started popping off in the deathmatch scene. 2020, I jumped off a roof. It went viral around the world. It was Bill's Mafia. Dude, that Bill's Mafia thing gets shared at least once a year of me jumping off a roof at this point. Like it went viral in Japan. Like that's where Kasai-san, the guy who got me interested in doing death matches, noticed me. Takeda and all the BGW guys started to notice me. And I said, watch me. They're going to care about me. And people started, you've heard it. Like that chance started in 2020, and
Oh yeah.
it's
No,
just
I've
been
heard it.
growing exponentially ever since. And then it became, well, I was like, okay, I want to be a TV. I want to get on TV. No, you can't do that. No, you can't work regular matches. No, you can't work shoot style matches. And I was like, once again, fuck you. Stop telling me what I can and can't do because I'm going to go out there again and I'm going to prove it. And I've been doing it. I started doing shoot style matches. Then it evolved into actually me doing more regular matches. And people were like, his matches are actually pretty good. Then I started getting put in there, especially this last 2 years, with guys like Speedball Mike Bailey, who is at the peak of our genre of what we're doing. On TNA, he's one of the hottest guys around the world. He's one of the hottest guys. I got in there with guys like Masashi Takeda, and I proved, even though I was doing less death matches, I'm better than all the fucking guys. Like a lot. I won't say a lot. Most of the guys. I'm I'm because I'm never gonna be that guy who's like I'm the best in the world. I will say I'm one of the best in my genre at what I do, and I'm one of the best pro wrestlers at what I do. I'm not just a flippy boy. I'm not just a fucking technician. I can also go in there and I can trade punches with Necro Butcher. I've done all these things. I've tested my mettle against some of the scariest motherfuckers in the game, and I will continue to do so. I punched Minoru Suzuki in the face 2 days ago and lived to tell the tale. I wrestled on Bloodsport, something that people said I would never do.
Yeah.
And I did it. And I did it in spades. And people came up to me through all of WrestleCon and were saying, dude, we loved your match. It was real, but it was also pro wrestling. It was great. And I was like, cool. And now, then I got signed with Major League Wrestling, and once again, it's always the same thing. People like to move the goalposts because they never want it. People, especially in pro wrestling, people in pro wrestling never want to admit that they're wrong. They never do.
Oh,
And
I
when you
know.
spit in their face, whether literally or metaphorically, just by proving them wrong, they want to stick to their guns even more. They refuse to give it to you. So when I got signed by Major League Wrestling, there were people in Indiana that were just like, oh, why did they sign him? He can't wrestle. And at that point, I just laughed. I was like, there's no appeasing these fucking people. But I said, fine, keep doing that, and I'm going to keep doing everything that you guys aren't doing. So I'm happy. I'm happy to be where I'm at, and I'm happy to still be part of the deathmatch scene. But I'm also happy to be someone where it's like, you've got to pay me to get me to do it with you, and if you're not good, I'm able to be that one of those guys who, if you're not good at what we do, I can point and be like, you need to train, you need to do this, you need to do that, or you need to get the fuck out. Some people say they want to have a match with me, and I'm like, you don't want to have a match with me, because if I'm not having fun, I'm gonna start fucking punching you in the face for real, and you're not gonna like it, because I've had the past couple shows, people tag me and I punch them in the face for real, and they go, ooh, you've been hanging around with Necro
Yeah,
Butcher. And
they
I go,
need it.
yeah.
That they need it though. Like, no, so I didn't mean
Yeah.
to cut you off, but
Because
they
that
need
was
it. And I'm
me.
telling you
I
this,
got
just
my.
standing from the side of the ring, I see it. Like their kids that are coming in as backyard wrestlers, guys. And I'm not trying to insult anyone, but you're coming in from not being trained properly, getting into a ring with trained professionals.
Or
Where's the integrity?
they did the bare minimum of training and then decided, okay, I'm going to do death matches now. And I'm sorry, I hate to break it to you. I didn't start doing death matches till like a year and a half in, but my year and a half in, I was already at like 300 to 400 matches because I was working for free. I was just getting as much in-ring experience as I could. Like, and I didn't just seek out death matches. Death match sought me out. A lot of these guys, they just do the bare minimum training and they think, okay, I can do death matches now. And I'm like, no, be a good fucking wrestler first. Alex Colon didn't start doing death matches like crazy till a couple years after he started doing it. Same with Sami Callihan. Same with Moxley. It's like,
So, if you're looking for the safest and coolest way to bet online and the most variety, of course, of games and like almost anything you could bet on, stop at betonline.ag because I guarantee you there is something for everyone.
people just want to be deathmatch wrestlers. I'm like, dude, listen, Terry Funk didn't start doing death matches till like the late 80s, early 90s when he was getting older. But he was so good, he was able to switch like that. Because it's pro wrestling. It's all pro wrestling. It's not just deathmatch wrestling, you know? And in order to be the best of the best and not just swing tubes to jerk your own ego off, it's an art and it takes time and it takes effort and it takes criticism. Like, I still get criticized. Like, I whether it's in Japan where if it's Necro Pano give me advice, which is actually advice. It's not just critiquing to be a dick. Takeda giving me advice after my match with him, and you were there for that match. That match was match of the night. People were saying it was match of the year.
It was.
But even still, he still gave me advice. I'm always getting advice. Now at MLW, I've got Sami Callihan giving me constant advice. Dude who's been around the world and done it all. Fucking, like, the best of the best are always learning. Because guess what? We're not done learning until we're dead. Or we're retired. And a lot of these motherfuckers are never going to retire because they're not going to make any money doing it. Because they're going to stay local to their promotion. They let books them in death matches. And that's it. Or they're going to beg for bookings online and be like, please book me in this tournament. And I'm like, get booked off your own merit. I didn't beg to get booked in any tournaments. I never did. It was always, hey, do you want to you're not going to get paid a lot. Do you want to do the show in bumfuck Tennessee where no one's going to see it? And I was like, yeah, sure, you know? Nowadays, I can go, hey, maybe I want to be in this tournament, but it's not me begging. It's me trying to pick interest. It's marketing. If it doesn't happen, I'm not going to lose sleep over it. I'm just going to move on. There's a couple tournaments that I'm probably never going to be in that people keep asking for me to be in.
Mhm.
And it's fine. I don't care anymore. I'm at the point now where I'm doing other things in my career. And when the time comes, if they want me to be in these tournaments at some point, I'm gonna be like, you have to pay me, or I'm winning this fucking tournament. I'm done losing sleep over things that I can't control. Versus some people who their entire thing is begging for bookings. And like, if I'm not getting booked, I'm not gonna lose sleep over it. I'm not gonna try to force water from a well when there's no water to give. A lot of people, they dwell on these things.
Yeah. But you're definitely in an anomaly, and I've been to, like, I got dragged back into this business by accident 2.5 years ago. But I'm grateful
It
because I've met
happens.
people like you, and I met Necro, who, like, I was scared shitless of him the first day he was in the dressing room with me at California. I knew who he was, and he just starts talking to me. I'm like, yeah. He's like, well, do you mind that I'm in here? I'm like, no, I don't care. I'm already dressed. Plus, you're harmless, right? So he really is. And he keeps calling me kid, but I'm fucking older than him. It's like, okay, keep calling me kiddo.
To
He
be
like
fair, he
cock
does look
blocked
older
me.
than you.
He is, but he's cock blocked me on several occasions, which is fine by me. I'm like, the guys are afraid of you. Like, you just need to, like, seriously, like, stop scaring my little boy toys away. So that not that I have much of a pool, but
Oh, shut up! We've had this discussion. We know what you be aiming at. All right, relax.
yeah. Okay, I'm trying to be like an angel. They're my rats. Hello, but
Oi, oi.
oy vey, right? But it's just, I love Necro and I love the business. It's such an anomaly having a female manager in death matches, and you guys have made my heart skip a zillion times over and over when I'm by that ring and I see shit. I'm like, okay. But it's like, without hearing that light tube, I think I'm out of place. But one thing I've noticed with MLW, which I love, is the variation, which is what more companies need, I think, to succeed on the indie scene. Because if we keep seeing light tubes and there's no storytelling and no need for that move, and you're jacking off each other with light tubes, it makes no sense. Like, how many more times can we see a whole, like, batch of light tubes, like,
Yeah,
against the rope? And what are your
it's
thoughts, by the
boring.
way?
It's the way they do it is boring. If you
Yeah.
watch, if you study actual professional wrestling, you
Mm-hmm.
can incorporate light tubes in many different ways. That's one thing I love doing is incorporating light tubes in different ways. I also like doing the basic barbaric swinging shit, but I also like to divvy things up. And but that was always my gripe with a lot of places I used to work. Like I have no ill will towards any places like even like ICW. I'd made my return there recently, but my issue has always been I was like a lot of these matches everyone's using the same stuff. And one thing that I always get complimented on, and once again this isn't me jerking my ego. This is actual things I've heard is you're always the first match, but you always have different stipulations. You do concrete, you do vinyl, you do knife fights. I'm like, yeah, because I love the art of deathmatch wrestling. I don't love light tubes. Light tubes are just an accessory. It's same like with a pane of glass. People that say they're deathmatch fans, but they write off a deathmatch because it has no glass. I say, okay, you're not a deathmatch fan. You're a light tube enthusiast. You're a glass smart, which is fine. Just be real with it. Because if you're a deathmatch fan, if you see a no barbed wire, it's a good one. You should like it. If you see a knife board deathmatch or a bare board deathmatch, you should like it. If you see, I don't know if you watched it. If you see Bobby Beverly and I and
Yeah,
an
I have.
ultraviolet kumite
Mm-hmm.
with bare boards, and it's not just light tubes; it's the spectacle in between. You should like that. Even when I did, the Circle Six of the Six tournament, like a lot of my matches had glass, but the glass match it all varied. Everything was so different. Whether it was Oren Veit and I, whether it was Tommy Vendetta and I, or it was Dale Patrick's and I in the finals, we made sure that the matches were different, and I made sure because I was like, I don't want it to be the same. I want different match types. I want different levels of story. Like Oren and I was the babyface work rate match. Then Tommy and I was the Memphis. He was the Memphis heel, and I jump started him. He got a dirty heat on me, and eventually I beat him. And then Dale and I was the stereotypical, not in a bad way, but it was the deathmatch finals where it's like, okay, we're gonna go in. It's just gonna be two guys who the crowd likes going in, and it's a clash of will. It's a clash of character. I I just believe that like so many guys just want to see the light tube, or they want to hear the light tube pop, or
Mhm.
even workers, they want that cheap reaction, and I'm like, I don't care. I don't need that to get a reaction. I think they're doing themselves as workers and as artists as a disservice by just sticking to that. And some of them don't even care. That's the problem. Like, I care. I care way too fucking much about my art form overall to shorthand myself. And I feel like I'm shorthanding fans too by not letting them experience the wide variety of what deathmatch can be. Just like depriving them of the wide variety of what pro wrestling can be. Pro wrestling can be um, serious. It can be bloody. It can be technical. It can be a comedy. I have nothing against comedy wrestling. I think the Japanese do some of the best comedy wrestling.
Yeah.
It can be a fucking Shitan, the Japanese mascot, being in a pro wrestling ring, doing pro wrestling moves, and then getting punched in the face by someone. I think that's great. If the crowd likes it, the crowd likes it. That's pro wrestling to me. But you can teach and indoctrinate, if you will, these fans in different styles of pro wrestling if you want to. If you just want to be lazy and just get a cheap reaction to make yourself happy, that's cool. What makes me happy is showing all the sides of pro wrestling that I can do and making the fans appreciate all those styles. I dressed as a fucking maid for a pro wrestling match. I have no ego in terms of what I'm willing to do for pro wrestling. And I did it for an LGBTQ show, and
Hmm.
I got a better reaction than a lot of other talent as that. And also, a lot of the fans didn't even know it was me. They thought I was a hot girl, and I was like, no,
Oh.
yeah,
Oh, that
like
photo. That's what that was from with the little. Okay, yeah. Well, yeah, you look like a hot
yeah.
chick. You look like a hot chick.
And some people thought it was drag. I was like, no, it's not drag. And they go, what was it? I said, do you like? I mean, Jazz, you probably have heard of it. Sailor Moon.
Yeah, I'm fuck yeah.
Yeah.
I know Sailor Moon. Yeah.
So what it was to me is that in pro wrestling terms, because we live in a world where Great Muta exists. Great
Hmm.
Muta shot mist into a girl's vagina and gave birth to a sumo wrestler. Like that happened. That was a thing. Hustle was insane. But I said kayfabe. I'm not Necro who can't I love Necro, but Necro's Necro. For me, I got this wig in the mail, and it turned me into a magical girl. And people were like, "What?" And I was like, "Yeah, that's the fun of it. I made it. I made it work because I came out of that fucking thing. They weren't chanting Akira. They were chanting Made Kira. I can get the fans to chant for me when I'm doing something that's not even me. Like that. That's truly art. That's what I love about it. It's pro wrestling is so powerful if you want it to be. It's so transformative if you want it to be. It's great.
Yeah, like you're willing to die for your art, literally. And what are your thoughts on no ring? Like I saw this that whole week of WrestleCon, and I
Yeah.
went with Lou Nixon and a few of my friends to a no ring show. It was really cool because there was like Euro disco going on, so it was
Oh
like
yeah,
the
yeah. I
perfect
saw
time to
I
go.
saw the clips. Yeah, it
What are
looks
your
cool.
thoughts on shows like that that just have no rings? And I don't know if I like the whole form. I don't know. I don't know. I'm mixed
Um,
about that.
Once again, it goes completely back into a conversation of stipulations and just being able to work different styles. Like it doesn't matter if it's a no ring; you can make an entire show out of it and make it interesting. Whether it's someone being funny, it's just being different, but you have to put the forethought into it. And a lot of guys, once again, if they're going to be lazy in death matches, you put them in a no ring scenario. It's just it's even less effort. It's I think it's even lazier. So instead of just swinging light tubes, it's brawl around, brawl around, brawl around. Okay, put me through a door, put me through whatever the fuck. And once again, I can't do that. Like I did, because I did the New Fear City with dinner in the Mania week. We did it in the skate park,
Yeah,
and
I saw
I
that.
saw the skate park, and I was like, there was people that had skateboards riding around. I said, you know what? This is my chance to go full like DDT pro wrestling and be crazy. So I was being funny. I was like strip teasing, and everyone was like hooting and hollering while chanting Akira because of course they were. And eventually I started beating the fuck out of this kid, and I did something where he was down, and I grabbed someone's skateboard and I sat my butt on it, and I rolled my. There was a clip going around of it. I rolled myself up and I kick. I did it. I did a kick, and everyone laughed. They're like, "Yeah!" And I go, "Wait a minute." And I told I told two of the skateboarding kids, "Say, come down here." And I go, "Hold his legs." And I go, "Spread his legs." and I grabbed the other kid's skateboard, and I just once again go all the way across the skate park, and I start slowly like rolling my way down, and everyone's going oh, and I like jab him in the face with the skateboard, and everyone was like yeah, and I was like pro wrestling is so fun if you make it fun.
Yeah.
But once again, you have to be willing to put the forethought and be willing to, I don't know, be creative and not be intellectually lacking and do that. like, but that like New Fear City does no rings great because they always book different kinds of talent and it's always a different kind of match, whether it's comedy, whether it's a strong style match, whether it's whatever the fuck it is. But that's what good booking and also booking good talent does too. There are just some shows that look like backyard shit because it is
Yeah.
backyard shit.
With
I don't think it matters if it's a no ring. I think it matters the talent and the energy put into it. Because there's a couple backyard guys that like I think if they put their heart and soul into it and they train, they could be something really great. Like they have the creative spark that so-called trained deathmatch wrestlers don't even have. But once again, you're still backyarding. You're still doing it in a scenario where I'm like, I wouldn't work with you in this scenario. Um, but that's just my take. Like I have nothing against no rings. I think they're really fun when they can be. But do I want to do them all the time? Fuck no. God no. I used to do like even when I did like the ICW pit fighter things, which are technically no rings. I was still doing like mixed martial arts style matches in those fucking things because I could. There's a guy named Kevin Blackwood who's kind of hot, who's hot on the indies, and he's especially on the West Coast, he's everywhere. And him and I did this is when No Peace was still running, but him and I did a technical wrestling match on a barroom floor, and everyone liked it. Now, mind you, I put him in a submission hold, and he tried to turn out of it. I just started slapping his ass. But like that's also the fun of it because the crowd started hooting and hollering, going, "Ooh, do it again!" And I'm like, "All right, for wrestling, why the fuck not?"
Yeah.
It was really homoerotic, but it was still probably one of the most fun matches I've ever had because we're doing something different. No, I let him drag me across the glass laden floor because I'm a sicko, but I also knew I was like, no one's gonna do this shit while we're doing hard hitting technical wrestling. But once again, if you love the art of pro wrestling, you'd be willing and you'd come up and be able to think of things like that. And there are guys that do that, like Necro has obviously done that. Has done that. Like there's the guys the guys that we know are great. Guys like Eric Ryan, guys, if I don't know what your thoughts are on him, like guys like John Wayne Murdoch who
Yeah.
make those matches entertaining. Like love those guys, even though I want to stab John Wayne Murdoch in the head. But those guys are great at what they do.
You want to stab him in the head? I don't know.
Oh,
What
I had to wear an eye patch. I had to wear an eye patch for months because of him. So I'm
Oh,
mad at him, very mad at him, and I'm going to stab him in the eye.
oh God, I feel like a receipt coming on. That's a receipt I wouldn't want. Like I ribbed Missy Hyatt years ago and she got me back by giving Gene Simmons my personal fucking phone number and he was sexually harassing me till like 4 a.m. in the morning from like different numbers and not too far from my hotel at that time. I just like she got me back. I had to drive from Tampa to Fort Lauderdale telling
Hey
her I was
man,
booked on a show and I needed her help. I wasn't even on a fucking show. There was no show.
listen, Gene Simmons has got that tongue. I'd be down for it.
Ew.
Let's go, Gene.
Yeah, but dude, I'm shallow. Come on, he's too old. I mean, he's too old and his hair is going. I mean, what do I want with that shit? My God. I tell
You want the
28 year
kiss?
olds
You
28-year-old
want the
kids they're
kiss
too old.
experience? Let him put on the
Uh,
platform boots and let him.
uh,
Never mind. I'm kidding.
dude, I'm like so not down for that.
You're an Ace Frehley kind of girl. I can tell. You like
No, I
Ace.
used to date the other guitarist, Bruce Kulick.
Oh no! Then shout out to you. Good for you.
His dog was cute though. Like that's one of the reasons I dated him.
Crazy Nights rules. Fucking
Yeah.
Bruce Kulick era rules of Kiss. I
Yeah, I
love
mean, they
that
were good.
era.
It was fun. It was so cinematic at one point, like when they had the theatrics. And I think of you like as an artist, like all the way. Like when you show up at shows, you're dressed like you're someone. And I feel as though there's that whole thing with wrestlers. It's like, guys, like you're going in portraying something, people know you're someone when you walk through that door. Like you don't get off a plane to a booking without makeup and hair. It's bad form and fucking
Well, it
sneakers.
also depends on the show. Like, if I'm
Yeah.
wrestling in some fucking barn, I'm not going to be dressed up in a suit. Just
Why?
that's just for my own sanity because I don't want to try to keep my shit clean in a barn or like in a garage or whatever. But I go to TV or I go to Prestige or places like that. I'm dressed nicely. Like even for this, I'm still dressed in my BJW fucking polo that they gave me, that kind of shit. I definitely agree with that mindset though. Like especially like the shows that I'm on now, really. Whether it's BJW or the Prestiges or wherever I'm at now, I generally dress. If I'm not in a suit, I'm dressed up still nicely. I'm dressed up like an athlete, because it is about the appearance too. Like I never let my hair fade anymore. The only time I let my hair fade is if I'm in between shows and I'm like I don't want to pay for a hair job because I'm like I'm at home. Who's gonna judge me? The dog? Not even Masha cares that much. She's like, listen, you have like no shows for like 2 weeks. Relax. And I go, yeah, I'm going to. But once again, I think that just comes to the territory of some people. Like some people are complacent with how the deathmatch scene is. But if you're a deathmatch worker who wants to break out beyond that, you have to play the games of the regular world. Now, the one guy who's a case exception would be Necro because Necro still dresses like a crazy rock star from like the 60s or 70s, but you look at him and you notice him. Like that's also an exception too. You can dress in ways that isn't a suit or whatever, but people notice you. That's
It's
okay.
necro. It's necro.
Yeah.
Like you can't expect
But the
anything
Road
else.
Warriors wore stuff like that too.
Yeah.
Like that's fine. They wore the Zubas. Like just know what works for you and rock with it. A lot of guys just it's all kind of like, and I used to be that too. So it's not me talking shit. I used to be the guy who was like it was bo. It was fucking. I was living with
BO?
someone who, yeah. Well, in 2020,
Oh.
in 2020, I was working back to back to back to back shows. Where I could barely have time to shower, so it would happen. I ain't proud of it, but it happened. Especially when you're bleeding nonstop, bleed, drive 8 hours. But nowadays, I'm in New York. I've definitely become more cultured. I've definitely become more well spoken as time has gone on because I've done more interviews like this, where I'm allowed to dictate and allowed to verbalize my thoughts in interesting ways. And once again, you got to play the game, and you got to know where you're playing the game at. And so, for some deathmatch shows, you don't need to dress up to the nines. I get it. But I might just to be a flexing asshole, but it's just me just being a teasing dick. I never do things to be like I'm better than you. But it's also just like a lot of the clothes I have now are just nicer. So I might show up accidentally it might be a hand me down Versace shirt, but it's still a fucking Versace shirt, that still looks nice, and I got for like $100. I'll take it. I'll take what I can get. I'm not paying like $800 for a Versace shirt. I'm just not. I'm good.
Yeah, I
But
used to say that before.
some people, like we've had the discussion too of some people having the fucking issue, like getting asked what can I do, and it's dress. Like I love Lou because Lou dresses.
Hmm.
He dresses in the mix of how I dress. Like you've seen me, I dress like I'm either in like crazy suits now or I'm in fucking just nice clothing. He mixes what I do and what Necro does, and he does it great. So like Lou is his own fucking thing, and I love Lou, and I'm happy Lou's doing fun great things. Yeah,
Yeah.
I see. I see what you're doing. Relax.
What did
Uh,
I do? I did nothing. I just said yes, I agreed because he does the same
pause.
versatile style like you did.
Watch. You know what you did? You were like,
I don't know what you're talking about. What
got it.
did I do?
Nothing. Moving on.
Dites-moi qu'est-ce que
Continue.
je fais. What did I do? I mean,
No.
all I said is, yeah, he did, because I took notice of that. I mean, come on. I would never do that. I am a professional grown woman. Okay.
It's a
Um,
rib. Relax. It's just a prank, Jasmine.
oh, you getting me back for Missy now? Okay. No.
Yes. Mhm.
Okay. Yeah, Missy. I have not, I'm scared to get receipted still. I think there's some more of a receipt, but no, I get what you're saying. I did do that because, you observe people. That's one thing I do. He's someone when he was at WrestleCon, I did introduce him to people. And like he sees the way I operate around people. Like I operate on a very fucking high level when I do. I don't deal with low level people. And I like to keep people around me that operate on a high level, right? You know, such as yourself. Necro, he I'm there. But I
Necro's
have
Necro. You're
to.
not gonna change a man. You're not gonna teach that dog new tricks. You're just
I
not. We
know,
love
but
him
it's
for what he
cute.
is.
It's cute because people see me with him, and they're like, how much are things? Ask her if she's handling the money. I'm like X amount of dollars. So basically, I'm the asshole. Like you had kids that were kind of too like short to even reach that table. I'm like, just give me how much? Just give me that fucking money. Okay,
Yeah,
take your photo. Just like, I
yeah.
feel like a pimp sometimes. Um, no, but you
You
operate on
are.
a
You're
high
Necro's
level.
pimp. That's why you wave the flag around. Like
Yeah,
we know we
you
know the
and
rules.
Masha are high level people. Like I love Masha. I think she's like so
She's
badass.
higher level than I am, Jasmine.
I
Like
know what the fuck.
I
Like
lo- I can turn it off. I turn it off, and I can just enjoy moments. I don't need to be working nonstop. That woman is working like nonstop, and I have to be like, babe, put down the fucking computer. Let's hang out. And she's like, I guess. And I'm like, dude, she's an animal, but that's why she's where she's at. But she's also forced me through our relationship to become much more productive and become who you see and are speaking with now today. Because I was not that when we first started dating. I was very much I'm going to stay at home, play video games. I don't want to go out and do anything. Now I'm very much, I want to go out. I still love my video games. I stream it on Twitch, and that's how I get to focus my time because I also make money while doing it. But I also do want to go out. Actually do want to go like clothes shopping now, which I never thought I'd hear. I'm actually buying more shoes. I want to go to museums and do these things.
yeah,
And
you
now
should.
people look at me and they go, "Did Masha dress you?" And I go, "No, I bought these clothes. God damn it!" And they go, "Sure you did, pal." I go, "Well, she bought the boots for me, but still, I asked for them for Christmas."
No, she's great. I mean, I think sometimes it takes like usually I give a guy like that 3 month time span of are you going to be at my level? Like
It took me a
first
year, but yeah.
a year, you see what the fuck, man? Well, you guys are younger, I think. So it's just I'm a lot older than you, so it's the 3 month time level. Like, how much do you have saved? Because it's got to match me or be more with any man. Then it's like, do you want to go out and go to the museum? Do you want to see like retro films on the big screen? Do you want to ride a motorcycle? Do you want to fucking travel? Then you got to uplift. But she's done an amazing job. I don't know what you were like before. I just
She's
know
done
what
an
I saw
amazing
before.
job with you. Just say it. I know that's what you're saying.
Yeah, I mean, you're lucky. I think without Masha, without Masha, you'd be like,
I'd still be in
I
Indiana.
don't
I
know,
know. Trust me.
like
I'm well
jackass
aware.
level, like some kind of doofus. Like, what the fuck is this? It's like, no, you're cultured. You're in New York, which is good.
I've always been
Yeah,
cultured, but it was just I was like, God, I don't want to fucking go out. Like I didn't have the money to go out and do those things. And but she got on me now. Like I'll say this. Like I've started saving, so I actually have a savings account and those kinds of things. But
good.
because before I was a guy working a job, paying for an apartment because my ex left, and I was just fucking kind of hung out to dry. I didn't have the finances to do some of these things. But now, living in New York, I'm making the kind of money because I became sponsored. I'm actually a sponsored athlete now through the work that she's technically she's put in,
Uh huh.
and I'm able to actually go and buy things. Like I'm getting a new desktop. We just introduced a new dog into our lives, and
Oh,
it's like she did push me to be that, but like we all have to start from somewhere. Like I'm not gonna pretend like I'm fucking loaded, but I have more money now than I did when I first moved here or when I was living in Indiana, and through just pro wrestling, which is great. And I'm actually able to start saving money too. But I'm also learning now instead of being I want to hoard money. Mosh is also teaching me to. She's like you're gonna make more money.
yeah,
She's like the style that you work even in deathmatch is not one where you're gonna burn out. She's like, you can go and enjoy things. I'm learning to also enjoy things just as much as I'm teaching her to turn things off and just, not just like turn off like her computer, but like turn off the working brain and enjoy a moment. So we are very conducive for each other in that regards of, like, she taught me more to how to become more of a businessman and become more of a professional. But I'm also teaching her how to be more of a participant in life, because if
okay,
it's all work, you enjoy these things when you're 60 or 70, but you missed out on 40 to 50 years of life. And she's 24, 25, and like
wow.
she's 25, and she's got the world at her shoulders. And I go, babe, like you can turn it off and look at where you're at and go, shit, life ain't bad. Like life's pretty good. Like she always has those times where she gets really down. She's like, "Fuck, my life sucks." And I go, "Babe, you travel the world. Your job is pro wrestler. People know you. By the time you're done with TNA, you're gonna be making 5 digits, 6 digits. You know, who knows what the fuck else, but you're gonna be making money. You've got a pedigree that people would kill for." And then she
Yeah.
stops and goes, "Shit, you're right." I go, "I know. I'm right sometimes, damn it, but I'm not right most of the time, but though I am right."
No, I mean, she's young enough to enjoy it. I'm thinking what it was like to be 25, and I was out seeing the world and very successful at that point. And that's when, you just got to dump the money somewhere. I know any and everything there is to know about offshore accounts, by the way. I'm not suggesting that you do that. I'm just telling you, because I fucked
Eventually,
around with money.
eventually,
Huh?
eventually, I will hit up Jasmin St and be like, "Tell
Yeah.
me about these offshore bank
Not for
accounts."
insider trading tips, by the way, just to let everyone know. But I,
No,
I
no,
want to
that's why I got Masha for. I got Masha for that.
Masha for that. Yeah, I just dumped a bunch of stocks before I came onto this, and I was freaking out because I couldn't get on. Like, oh my god, did I do something? I'm being blocked. The fucking deep people at the SSC are coming for me, but they're not though. Where could people find you? Because I see all your socials and they're super busy. But what are your actual main handles for people to find you and Twitch with you? By the way, because I think twitching is a great revenue
Yes,
stream.
all my social media, whether it's Twitter, Instagram, and my Facebook page, it's under the at the Akira Way label. So that's TheAkiraway, and that's the same with Twitch. You can catch me on Twitch. I've been taking off for the last 2 weeks because I was focused on WrestleCon. I was focused on Bloodsport, and this week I was focused on Minoru Suzuki. But now I'm going to get back in the swing of things, and I'm always active on all things. So people can shoot me a message. They want to buy merchandise. They want to buy gear. I'm always active. I'm always available. Sometimes I'll read and I'll get back to you, but it'll be within the day. Um, I'm you messaged me about getting on here, and I responded like what 3 minutes. Like I'm very fast about these kinds of things because I just know that life, business, etc., etc., goes very fast, so you gotta be fast responding to these things. But Twitch, I generally stream on days that I'm off or that I'm free if I'm not out doing something with Masha. So Monday through Friday, if I'm not booked during the weekends, you'll know if I'm streaming. I'm pretty sporadic with it sometimes. Sometimes I'll be like, "Oh, morning stream, bucket." Like have your notification bell on so you can hop in. Because I just want to do it to do it. Like it's just I don't like try to force it down people's throats. But I especially stream at like 8 to 9 p.m. and I'll stream into like 2 or 3 in the morning sometimes. And
Whoa.
if I get rated sometimes, then I'll do till like five a.m. It's happened where like Mia Yim from DeV or someone who will raid me and I'll have 200, 300 people hop in and I go, that's 200, 300 people that I need to stay up and try to entertain, so they can like and follow my stuff. It's I enjoy it because it's like, oh no, I have to stay up and play video games. Oh, woe is me. Or oh no, I have to watch YouTube videos. Oh, what a horrible life. But I very much do like the nerdy kind of crap. So like I'm getting it started with like Dungeons and Dragons again because people in my Discord want to play Dungeons and Dragons, and I go, you know what? So do I. Like it's fun. It's something. It's different. It also helps me reach a different kind of audience. Like once again, Deathmatch is trying to reach out to pro wrestling fans. Pro wrestling fans trying to reach out to casuals. I think it's a great avenue by doing these things like Dungeons and Dragons and doing these nerdier kinds of things to get the integration of different kind of fan bases. That's why I think Japanese wrestlers are so great because I mean you've been to Japan, like
Yeah.
anime is like integrated into their culture just
Oh
as much
yeah.
as wrestling is, and Japan does a great time of like the Japanese wrestlers do a great thing of mixing that with J-pop, with the music, with video games. And I think pro wrestling could and should do more with that. Like, there's a lot of guys who play video games, or a lot of girls who play video games, but I think getting like integrated into the culture of going to conventions, doing these things. Because I've been at some conventions too where pro wrestling fans are there, and they see me, they go, "Akira, holy shit!" And I go, "Oh shit, how the fuck did you notice me? Hi, how's it going?" I had like a mask on during that time too, so they just saw like the hair, like I know that hair.
Yeah, it's
But then
obvious.
people stopped and they asked, "Oh, hey, who do you? What do you do?" And I go, "Yo, I'm a pro wrestler, and this is what I do. I'm what you play, but I'm real." I,
It's another world with all the streaming and like I know Dungeons and Dragons very well, like
you play
Gungeon
it.
Keepers, all
You
that stuff.
play
I
it.
Yeah, I did when I was younger. I played it.
Hey, there it is.
I
Jasmine's
was
a
doing
nerd.
a lot of things, when I was younger, like that. I was riding a motorcycle illegally for 20 years. I didn't know that you needed a license for it. So it's like I just got it recently. But we're going to plug all your stuff away, and you really are a force to be reckoned with at this point in time. So, I look forward to seeing you out there everywhere, and I hope we can get Masha on here one day because I think she's so incredible, and you guys are like a power couple in deathmatch wrestling. I think.
She's definitely a force to be reckoned with as well, and I'm just happy to be not just a force in the ring, but also intellectually and conversationally as well. I know with her thing because like MLW has like their own like they don't really care what I do. TNA has their own like
Oh
PR
yes,
thing. So yeah, so I'll talk to her about it when she gets back today, but
cool.
and I'll let you know about it.
Yeah,
It's its own whole fucking thing. It's just like when she goes to WWE, they'll have a whole PR thing where she
it's
can't talk to
crazy.
certain things, that kind of
Yeah.
stuff.
That's totally understandable, but I appreciate your time, and I know you're going to be headed out doing some more constructive stuff today, and we'll probably see more of you here and there. I know I keep up on your Instagram and everything, so you're always busy. You are Deathmatch's most. I think you're Deathmatch's busiest man. That's for sure. That's how I totally label you. Um, Thank you so
I'd
much for
like to
coming.
pretend I'm that. Thank you.
You really are, but thanks for hopping on with us, and just sit tight.